Welcome back to Ales and Fails Miniatures. Today we have a celebrity guest here, my brother Nick, our forever DM. Where can they find you at, Nick?
The Prophet Kane. Y'all should know that though, I'm a celebrity, right?
Yeah, that. He makes really cool digital maps on his Patreon, and just follow him on all the social medias, but definitely look up his Patreon. He makes some of the best maps around, in my opinion. I love playing on them. So, yeah, but today we are reviewing the D&D Icons of the Realms Return of the Dragons, a full box set. And yeah, pretty excited about it, so let's get into it. Alright, let's do this. First little box here.
Yeah, I'm particularly excited for this set because it's got a lot of the young dragons, and I don't know about your viewers, but I personally am a big fan of reasonably sized minis. So I personally picked up a lot of the young dragons out of this set and previous sets because they seem to fit that right size for usability on a map, but not being so big that they're unwieldy.
Yeah, and that's honestly why we decided to do another set of these. We did the other one, did not actually get to do the box opening for you guys due to footage loss, but we at least showed you the miniatures. We did get another Oni here. Same as last time. This miniature, the muscle detail, the biggest thing that it lacks on, in my opinion, is the clothes need just a little bit something more, a little bit of a dry brush, a little bit of a highlight, something like that. But the paint job is okay, but the sculpts in this set are absolutely phenomenal.
And the Oni is a re-release, isn't it? There's an older set of Onis.
Yeah. Almost all miniatures that they're coming out with these days are technically re-releases, but they're new sculpts. That's definitely a new sculpt of the Oni.
Yeah.
So,
which is a good one. The Oni is a great mini for use in a lot of different campaigns. It's one that I've always thrown in at not necessarily lower levels, but put it in anywhere from, a lower level 3 to 5 as one of kind of your end bosses in a dungeon, or throw it in as adds in a bigger fight as you get up to the 7 to 10th level fights. It's a really great mini to have.
Yeah, I think Matt Mercer used it in Critical Role as he used the Oni when Ford and Jester got kidnapped. I'm pretty sure it was an Oni that was the final boss for that killed Mollymawk.
Oh, very possibly.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was a Oni as well, so.
Yeah, I always imagined him as random humanoid. But
me too, but when it came down to it, they found out certain things about it, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was an Oni, so that was kind of cool to find out. Again, just another really easy use for something like that if you do watch the show. Then they have the Ballista. I love that they finally made Ballistas in a smaller size.
Yeah.
Brian and I were talking about this, being able to use these on like a ship or something like that.
Well,
just
we
having
use them
a
on
couple.
our ship all the time. They're great.
Yeah.
We had them as an upgrade on a ship. My party had picked up just a random stolen pirate ship that was a merchant ship previously, and paid quite a lot of gold to retrofit it with a couple of ballistas that turned out to be quite the valuable expenditure. So
yeah, I still died. Don't worry.
Nice to have movable siege weapons like that, especially because there's so many different uses. I mean, we've got. In our campaign, we've got a war at hand that ballistas could come in handy. We talked about the ship use for them. There's also
castle walls.
Yeah, or if you plan on fighting a dragon and you know where that fight's going to happen, you can use it as a add-on for that combat to give your party a little bit extra to work with into a hard combat.
And there's plenty of fun like stats out there for them and statistics in order to use them. So I really like that.
Uncommon or common in this set?
I'm pretty sure that is a uncommon.
Okay. Yeah, as I say, a common would be interesting. I don't know how many ballistas you need, but
yeah. Let's just double check that here. That is a uncommon, correct? So, yeah,
which fits.
Yeah, and then we have again another repeat here for this channel. At least this is the Hobgoblin Fighter. Again, very nice looking miniature sculpt-wise. Paint job's, again, a little lackluster on that, but with something this small, you're not going to be able to tell from a couple feet away on a table, so it looks really nice for what it is. So.
That said, you've got one that's really nicely painted. The face on that one came out phenomenal.
Yeah.
The coloration I like on the cloak. I like the indigo and the deep purple that they've got going on there. Really looks good. These sets in particular, I feel like these are kind of always a hit because no matter what, you get a few humanoids.
Yeah.
I personally have never had enough humanoids to use. Always great for just random adds, random character fill-ins, whatever you need to use them for. Definitely. I'm a big fan of getting extra humanoids.
Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite humanoid miniatures in this set, the Gnome Wizard. this is just such a cool, great sculpt, amazing paint job for how small it is. Like, truly an amazing paint job for how small it is. Yeah. And you don't see a Gnome Wizard very often, and I think that's why I like it so much.
It's definitely one of my favorite classes too. I'm really big, or favorite races. I'm really big on gnomes. I like the smaller folk, the halfling races, a lot. And gnomes are one of those where they're always fun to use. I find myself, every world I build ends up with a gnomish village or gnomish town that
you got to.
Yep.
you absolutely have to.
It feels like a must-have.
Yeah. So. Well, you can always have so much fun with it. So, all right, I think it's your box, bud.
Yeah, let's pop one of these guys open and see what we get.
Let's get a dragon, shall we? One that we haven't gotten yet, hopefully.
It does not look dragony.
Oh, it fell out.
Kind of.
Pegasus?
No, we got a Pegasus, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I don't think I got a Pegasus last time, so...
Yeah, love the mane on that. Came out well. Not a whole lot you can do with the paint job on that one. Looks like just some white with a little black wash on it.
Yeah, and Pegasus is one of those things that you're not going to use as often, in my opinion. But if you're a collector like me, I love at least having it. I will say, the one thing that I am noticing is when they glued the wings on, there was a lot of super glue overlap. But again, based on what set you open, that's going to vary. So, not a huge deal. A little bit of matte clear coat should fix that up pretty easily. But overall, great sculpt and really great looking pose. So I like it.
I think you'll find that Pegasus tend to become more common in campaigns where flying's not as easy. If you don't have a wizard, sorcerer, someone who can find a fly spell, or in our case, we have the Drake Warden Ranger, which helps with flying. So. You take out some of those, and suddenly a Pegasus is a late game mount. Adds a lot of potential to an otherwise difficult combat. We've fought a lot of flying critters in the late of our game, and
me being able to fly really helped.
Yeah,
so
definitely helps. Yeah. We've got some good ones here too. I'm actually really happy. We got Rezmir. That's one of the very rares, I believe.
Just rare.
Just rare, but yeah, still really good black dragonborn. Looks like.
Yeah, I was excited for that one.
Comes with a sword. Again, I really like the indigo and the purple that they're doing in this set. I feel like they've kind of got a theme going on here for some of them that look good.
Yeah, and they added with the gold trim on that as well.
Yeah.
The sword's a little bent. Again, I've said it plenty of times. A little bit of hot water pulled it in place for a few minutes, and it'll be back to normal though. But yeah, very good sculpt again. I love that instead of like these being part of the body like they used to, it would be up against it.
Yeah.
They're actually putting these as all separate pieces. Just looks phenomenal. And yeah, even with like the little spikes on the back of the arms, horns. Yeah, this is actually a really cool looking miniature.
That's definitely one of my favorites in this set so far, I think. Hoping we find one of these half red dragon veterans that's on the side of the box. I'm a big believer in half dragons as enemy combatants. You can ask any of my players. I've
dealt with a lot of them. So
we've got our Wood Elf Druid here. Another one that's kind of cool. I can't tell if he's supposed to be that bent over, if his legs are a little weak.
He's a little bit more bent than normal. I did get another one in the last time we opened up a set here. So really, I think we've only got 2 new ones from the last set. But yeah, he is supposed to be standing up a little bit more. Same thing though, a little bit of hot water, hold him in place, fixes it right up, and
good looking on the magic there a lot.
I love these new magic effects that they're doing. It just looks so cool.
Yeah. Anything clear and painted, just it adds a lot to it. The magic effects. We were looking at. We've got a beholder behind us that's got the magic rays that just really appealing on these newer sets. Having multiple plastic types that give you a really solid depth of character to minis.
Yeah, and they're just doing such a good job with sculpts these days that the paint job almost doesn't matter as much. Just because of how detailed the sculpt is, it gives it enough shadowing without having to go over the top on the paint job. So it's really cool to see that.
Which is, that's kind of something you have to talk about when you're buying pre-painted minis. Is I know you're huge into having well-painted minis, good-looking minis. I'm less so. I'm happy if my mini comes pre-painted because I don't have to do it. I don't have to buy the paint. I don't have to put in the time. And these are looking really solid for the paint job. And
that was impressive in my opinion.
These smaller ones are actually really crazy, like we were just saying. We've got the Quickling here. It's extremely small. Smaller than a fingernail. But again, a nice purple indigo tone on the skin, almost a bluish. Like I said, kind of a theme going on with them there that has come out really nice. They're looking good.
And again, with how small it is, just having this amount of detail just throwing 3 colors on it, it looks good. You don't really need to do much else, and I really like that about it. So I always enjoy adding something like that to the collection, because Quicklings are another thing that aren't very common in the miniature world currently, so it's really nice to see them adding things like that.
Yeah, and even just taking like 2 boxes that we've opened so far and spreading them out, like you've kind of got a nice little theme going on here where you can build some sort of an encounter, whether it's, allies and foes, or whether you're just looking for maybe a cult of some sort. Some of these minis are phenomenally matching, so that you can just throw them together in a dungeon and nothing's going to seem out of place, despite the fact that I think we've got a Hobgoblin, Dragonborn, and a Quickling here, but all kind of fitting in the same color theme that feels really high potential for good use.
And I didn't even think about that yet, due to the fact that they used a lot of the same colors for those, kind of the same colors over here. You can use them as a cult, or use them as even player characters going into an encounter. So that's really cool. All right, next one here. This is I will take it. This is one of the giants. There's the big.
Still no dragons.
Still no dragons.
Fingers crossed. Giants to play though.
Yeah, this thing is sweet too.
This is one of those minis that's like on the cusp of. I like to play with smaller minis personally, because I have a very limited map.
I will say this one is broken. It is. The legs are broken off from the feet, which is a little unfortunate there, but that's another quick super glue. It's back together.
Yeah, this box in this case in particular seems like it might have been roughed around a little bit in transit, as we've now had 2 of them that weren't fully connected to the box, but not a big deal. Minis are made of plastic, and ultimately a little bit of super glue goes a long way in correcting any breaks or damages that you find.
Yeah, and when we opened up this in the last set as well, again, just amazing looking ice giant, or frost giant.
Yeah, love the textures on the armor. They've got like little, not necessarily runes, but carving a little bit of texture into there, giving it a good look.
The mammoth tusks.
Yeah,
just simple.
And the ropes around the haft of the axe,
with the vertebrae.
The stuck in there.
Sick.
Really, really solid. Oh yeah, the tusks.
Yeah.
Was not aware of what those were exactly.
The giant tusks coming off the back. Yeah.
And I was going to say,
cool.
Giants are one of those where they kind of fit on the side of, these are as big of a mini as I want to use.
Yeah.
And they really, you throw those against a normal humanoid and they look so epic. You don't need a giant Tiamat mini to make your combats epic. A larger mini like that, something in the huge category, will fill the space and really make it feel good.
All right, the next one here is just the Halfling Bard. Always love having bards, all different sorts, sizes, with different musical instruments. Just really cool. And again, for how small it is, it's very well painted, and the detail is phenomenal for something this tiny.
Well, the other thing is you really start to fill out your classes here. If you want to buy a set and have player characters, I know a lot of times for one-shots and stuff, I will just make the characters for people and assign them out so that I know what they're doing. We've got the Halfling Bard, we've got the Gnome Wizard, we've got the Wood Elf Druid, and we've got the Hobgoblin Fighter. We filled out 4 classes already. It's a good diversity for player characters if you don't want to, like I said earlier, buy minis and have to paint them, or buy color printed minis, which are still not quite up to snuff yet.
Not yet, but hopefully they do get there.
They're getting there. I was pretty happy with the one I got.
Another repeat from last video. This is the Wraith. Again, I really like the detail on the sculpt on this, and I just love that they're doing like the clear resins and everything on these, and then just kind of adding a little bit of paint over those. And Brian, I noticed that if you actually look at the face and everything, there is an actual skull there with the crown. So it's really cool, the fact that they're putting that much detail into something so small that you'll almost never see with clear resin, but they're still going out of their way to do it.
Yeah, it's definitely a big thing to add. Detail in general, if you're going to have pre-painted minis, they're going to tend to have, I can't really say much now because a lot of these look phenomenal on their paint jobs. You're not going to always expect the highest quality paint job. So getting some extra detail in the print feels nice. And that looks like a little blurry cloud to you guys, I'm sure. But up close, it's got a lot of solid detail. You can see all the individual fingers that aren't too bled together. those points on the crown, and like he was saying, you know, we've got a clear jaw, an open mouth there that you can see the teeth on, that just really adds a lot to these, you know, medium-sized minis.
Yeah. Next one we got here is the mains, and the flesh on it is just disgusting. It's so real looking, with just pockets that are opened up, and it's just it looks really grotesque almost. I mean, it is really good looking for what it's supposed to be, but it is strictly grotesque in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm not familiar what mains is supposed to be, but
it is, from what I'm not, don't quote me on it, but I'm pretty sure it is one of the demons it's a humanoid that is basically banished to the hells and then turned into a fleshy monster, and that's how they have to live the rest of their life. Something of those sorts.
Class, demons, fiends, etc. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good little mini there. Another one that would fit alongside, I mean, even
the
like
Wraith.
a Mind Flayer colony, you could throw a couple of those in. You don't always have to stick to, you know, the origins of the Forgotten Realms necessarily to use a mini. Yeah. I can see that right alongside a couple of Intellect Devourers as a nice little surprise add-on for your veteran players who know everything about the books.
Yeah, that definitely. All right.
Try number 4. Let's see if we get a dragon in the dragon set. We've got a Dragonborn is as close as we've got.
The other.
Got the other giant.
Yep.
Come on out, gentle. Gimme. And these are stone giants.
Yeah.
One of the fun ones to use. These guys are not quite as aggressively dangerous as some of the higher level giants. Stone giants are another good one to throw at your level 5 to 10 players. You know, just scale up a few of them, or throw them in as a dungeon boss, or even an encounter that may not meant to be won.
Yeah, and these are just great looking miniatures. Again, the sculpts on them are phenomenal. The face on this one is awesome. Don't know if you noticed the roper.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, I did not notice the ropeless roper.
Yeah, he's his club is the body of a roper. So that's just another pretty cool little.
Big fan of. They really managed to get the almost Attack on Titan-esque look on these guys. Just big and dumb looking, very much just a sack of meat ready to beat you into submission. Solid job on the furs here. Nice tear down the back here where the furs weren't, perfectly collected. Some stitching around the sides. I mean, just really solid details. These are the bigger minis. You expect those kind of details. You want what would be medium-sized details on these compared to like minuscule details on these. You really want those to shine on these bigger minis, because it's going to matter. When you're looking at a mini that size, that's when you start to see stuff at a distance, and the better print, the better paint you have on those, the better it's going to look. And
they did a great job on these.
Yeah, they didn't shy away on the big minis.
No.
That's going to be a fun one.
Yep.
We've got our Orc Fighter, so mark that down as another one of our, not necessarily a different class, because we've got the Hobgoblin Fighter, but another different class. And Orc Fighter, I would say, is probably one of the more common race class combos. Orcs being really solid as both barbarians and fighters. They tend to fill the strength role very well, especially with Relentless Endurance being part of the class.
Yep.
They always make a great melee fighter.
Definitely, yeah. And again, just a nice little sculpt there for adding another Orc Fighter. Again, they change the color of the body so often that's the only thing that I think bothers me with the D&D minis sometimes is you'll go green, you'll go yellowish, you'll go almost perfect humanoid style color skin, but overall, great miniature, looks phenomenal.
Well, and nothing wrong with diversity. The more skin colors you get, the more people you're appeasing, and ultimately you end up with a nice diverse field. I will say I agree with you in that if I have an orc colony that's from a certain part of my world, more than likely they're all going to end up with at least similar skin tones.
Yeah.
And so the more diverse you get, the harder it can be. But I'm pretty sure we've got a stack of like 15 blue orcs somewhere around here that are probably the most interesting skin tone we've gotten so far on orcs.
Definitely.
The Paladin, mark it down, another class. Yeah. I'm guessing that's probably just meant to be a human. But obviously, humans you can use as elves, anything that look remotely similar.
Yeah.
Giant halfling. Take your pick.
That
Love the armor on that one.
Yeah, and I said, and this is another one that we got in the last time we did this. The armor looks phenomenal. The cape.
Not in love with the green-blue combo. The green.
Yeah, with the blue cape
trim on the skirt and the blue cape. It doesn't look bad.
I wish they would have done blue or just black even.
I don't like green. I think we've got a green set here of PC minis. I think that you throw the green on there and you let it be. We've got the green and the purple in this set. I think the more that you can keep minis stuck together from boxes, especially when people are buying cases, it feels like you get a more usable set to just drop into your campaign, and it doesn't feel like you have to run as much to make use of them all. The last one out of this box is our Doppelganger. Again, not a whole lot you can do with this mini as far as making it look better. Really good paint job. I like the kind of stretchiness, it's like loose skin look to the arms they've got going on here. Solid yellow eyes, and they've really got the almost fully closed over mouth, the tight to the head ears that you expect out of a Doppelganger. Kind of just hitting all the hallmarks on what is realistically a simple mini. There's not a lot you can do with it, but they did it all.
Yeah, just super alien-esque, just tight skin against the muscles, and even like he was saying, there's not a lot you can do, but even with the paint job on this, with the wash and a dry brush on it, it looks...
Yeah, I mean, file that away amongst your Pegasus and your Wraith. There's not a ton you can do with it, but what you can do, they did do. So feels nice to get your minis that you paid for and have them be, even if they are simple, even if they are single color, they come out looking good.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is, from what I'm seeing currently, is we're only halfway through, obviously, but so far we are very close to the last set we opened on miniatures, so
and a distinct lack of dragons from a set called Return of the Dragons. I'm waiting for the return.
So hopefully we'll see that.
Your turn.
All right, my turn. A second. This has got to be a dragon.
It says, "Show me wings, baby."
Yep.
Oh yeah, a good one too. What is it?
The
brass.
Bronze.
I always mix up brass and bronze. Brass looks more golden. Bronze has got that nice green tinge. Yeah, this one they do have a rubber band around the neck, so we had discussed a couple of our minis had popped out. We did end up with the broken giant we mentioned previously. This one had the straps around the neck to keep it from jostling too much, which I really like for dragons, because a broken wing's a lot harder to fix than a couple of broken ankles. Yeah,
another duplicate from last video, unfortunately, but I love this miniature. All these young dragons look so nice. Same thing as I said last time, though. The biggest downfall of this one in particular is on the inside of the wings. You can see the mold lines pretty aggressively. But other than that, it's an amazing miniature.
Yeah, definitely a set that came clean out of a mold. You can tell that there's a line right down the middle, edge to edge on the inside of the wings. The outside, you can't see much. It's one of those things where you can probably do some work on it, but it's probably just going to end up being left on your mini. Unless you're really upset about it, but ultimately, I mean, you set it even a foot or two away and give it some shadows, and you start to lose the sight on that line, and the rest of the mini, it just looks great. I'm a bit biased. I'm big into dragons. I think they're a large part of what drew me to tabletop RPGs and Dungeons and Dragons in particular. Call me a sellout. I bought into the marketing immediately. But I love my dragons. I build worlds around them. They are every bit the force of nature and the political adversary that you want them to be. And definitely. I love using them. I'm excited to expand my world and add a few more dragons to it.
Yeah, definitely. The next one here I got is just the Kobold Fighter. Again, great looking kobold.
A lot of fighters in this pack. Yeah. That's, I think, our third fighter. We've got the Orc, the Hobgoblin, and now the Kobold. But
this is just such a good looking miniature for being a kobold. I have a lot of kobolds, and it's probably one of the better looking ones I have.
Yeah, I think you put a class with it, and you expect it to be a little bit up and up on it. Kobold's one of those minis you can never have enough of them. I'll never be stoked to pull a Kobold. But I will never be upset with having more of them. They're one of those where You'll use them at level 1, you'll use them at level 16.
Yeah.
They make for great ads, and you throw a couple of half-dragons in with them. I did say I like using half-dragons. Throw a couple of half-dragons in with them and swarm someone with kobolds, and suddenly a breath weapon hits a whole lot more often than you'd expect it to.
That. Alright, the next one we have here is the Orog Fighter, which, just like last time, it's basically just an orc that is a Underdark orc. And they are just known to have bigger tusks, be a little bit stronger, a little bit taller. And I love that they actually, due to the size of they actually made it a tiny bit bigger, tiny bit stronger. And they really did a good job at making that present compared to just making them about the same size. I really like this miniature. It's got great armor on it, great coloring, amazing sculpt again.
Yeah, the armor looks... Underdark-esque for sure. It also looks almost mechanical in nature.
Yeah.
It's very blocky. It's very thick. It is pushing the limits of a medium creature. I mean, that's probably a 7-8 foot orc. You've got about another foot to work with there before you're pushing large. This is one of the ones I was excited for. It's on the side of the box. Another fighter that does make 5 fighters if you're counting. That said, a lot of different weapons being wielded by them. We've got swords, we've got hatchets, we've got dual-sided axes, we've got the spear. So, good amount of diversity among your fighters there. And again, humanoid minis, you can never have enough. They're always good for ads. They're always good to just toss in where you need them. You can never have enough of them.
Yeah. All right, very excited about this one. This is one of our very rares. This is the Rath Modar, and they are sick looking. Some sort of wizard using a flame effect with a staff.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised
cool.
if I'm almost positive he comes straight out of the Rise of Tiamat campaign. I'm pretty sure he's one of the lead cultists. I could be talking right out my rear here, but it rings a bell. Rath Modar rings a bell for me. It's one of the few modules I've read through. Shocker. Really good job here. The flame on him, again, love the clear effects they're doing on it. Again, a little bit of bend on the weapon, but I don't think I've seen a mini come out of a box that doesn't have a little bend on the weapon, and it's such an easy fix.
We actually talked about that last time. I think this is the only one. Both of our miniatures that have come out of the box for the Paladin have had almost a perfectly straight weapon.
Yeah, this one's really cool. He's got a glyph on his forehead that came out really good. They've got the angry eyebrows and a pinstripe of paint there, and it turned out phenomenal. The kind of bronzy sheen on the shoulder plates of this one looks solid. Personally, big fan of the Cult of the Dragon, and I'm like 80% sure that's where this guy comes out of.
I would believe it.
Yeah. We'll look it up on our next break, and I'll come back to you in about 10 seconds with confirmation on that. Yeah, so we did look up Rath Modar. He is, in fact, not Cult of the Tyrant. He's a Red Wizard of Thay, but he was a key player in the alliance with Tiamat, so wasn't totally off base, wasn't totally talking out my rear, but yeah, definitely a cool mini, fun to have.
Yeah, I'm glad it's one of the very rares, and the very rare is actually the base on them, instead of having the white writing, I'll have gold writing.
Yep.
So that's a very quick tell as well.
I saw that as well. Ooh, I've got good news for you. Not sure if you have this one, but we do have another dragon.
I do not have the blue one. Yes.
I will say, right off the bat, before I even unpack this guy fully, not in love with the way they did the wings on the blue dragon.
Where he's like flapping downward.
Yeah, definitely flapping downwards, especially for one that's, generally found... Deserts and such tend to be the blue dragon's lair. Their lightning can make sand into glass, so I've always had a lot of fun with putting him in a desert. There is a little gap in his fly stand here that's...
Yep. Oh, yeah, no, I'm going to have to... I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it might be a remove and rebase type thing.
Yeah, not a huge deal, though.
I was excited to get the blue dragon miniature myself. I did go ahead and buy this one. Love the red paint on the outside of the ears that just kind of highlights... the face. Blue dragons are by far one of my favorite minis and one of my favorite dragons. We saw him in Critical Role at a fairly low level as a very terrifying boss as a young dragon.
Yeah.
I've done similar things. I've got entire campaigns written around silver dragons that is really fun. I love the young dragons. I love the size of these. They're so usable. I mean, you throw those up next to a humanoid, and sure, the humanoid stacks up well. But man, give me a huge dragon any day. I love throwing these guys at a party. And
yeah, I think this is honestly, I really like these as well. I like that they have the fat tail like the desert lizards.
Yep.
They have that nice fat, just fluffy
comes
looking
off their
tail.
back, and it's almost bigger than their torso where the tail starts, which is
just cool.
Phenomenal. The blue dragons in general are just a nice beefy looking guy that's got some danger to him, and nothing like a lightning bolt to the face to really set the tone for a combat.
And I really like the ripples and things that they did on the wings here. I think the only downside to this is obviously, like he said, there's a little gap in the base there, which isn't a huge deal. You can just take that off and reglue it. And then there is a little bit of where the mold lines are, or not even mold lines, it's where they put it together. You can see the lines where they glue it together. Not a huge deal. Again, once you're a foot and a half, 2 feet away from it on a table, you're really not going to notice it that much.
No, blends in really nicely with the scales and gives it a good effect at a distance. But yeah, up close you can see where the legs and the tail connect. Yeah. But you're going to have that with any of these slightly larger minis, especially dragons, where there's so many flailing different parts that you kind of have to stick them together at separate parts.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to pull them out of mold otherwise. So.
No, you'd have to print them all, and
yeah, that's not fun.
I wouldn't complain. We do have the human Zhentarim Bandit, and I'll say that this is probably the start of almost another theme, because we've got, I was talking about the blue or the indigo and the violet, and then kind of the green group. We have the Red Wizard of Thay, and this guy now has a red cape and kind of fills into another little setup. The paint job on him is phenomenal. The print job looks great. There's multiple different like face masks. The cape comes down around the neck, and then there's like a face covering that covers the lower part of the mouth. Really good looking bandit. He's got his hair up in a man bun that's painted to look pretty solid there too. Really good job on that. And again, the sword is fairly straight on that guy.
Yeah, I actually really like, even on its right knee armor, it's got little filigrees on there. Like a little like heart with flowers almost. It really, just small details like that add so much. Again, the sculpts in this is absolutely insane. Something that small that's just a knee pad basically, that has actual filigree on the outside of it, is phenomenal for something this small.
And I think it's a huge part of actually making these minis worth buying, because at this point we've seen just about everything we're going to see as far as new minis. Give me my different colored drakes, please.
Yes,
give me my different colored half dragons, please, because good lord,
we do have a blue guard drake in this set.
Well, the blue guard drake's the one they've always had, and the red dragon veterans one they've always had. And I mean, even when we fought half red dragons, I had to use a lot of our dragonborn minis to fill those in, which they work. You don't notice a difference, really.
It's nice to have the half-dragons, though, because they actually have horns, and they have the tails on all the half-dragon miniatures, compared to most of the dragonborns don't have tails and don't have horns on their miniatures, so...
Yeah. Next up, we've got the Needle Blight. This one is another one where there's not a whole ton you can do with it, but man, if they didn't do everything. It's got really nice, long, gangly fingers, nice, solid hoof-like, thick tree trunk feet, spines all over it, and again, a face that is definitely distinguishable. I would say this is probably the least distinguishable face amongst the ones we've gotten, but still looks really good.
Yeah, and I really like the fact that they have all these actual protruding spikes on them, because that's something that you really don't see a lot on miniatures, and it is a needle blight, so having all these protruding needles on it really just adds that little bit of extra detail that just, you can tell what it is almost immediately, and I really like that.
Stick them over there with the ones that don't need a lot but got it. And of course, it wouldn't be Return of the Dragons box without another fighter.
Swashbuckler.
This is the Svirfneblin
no idea.
Svirfneblin Fighter. We're going to go with it. Another halfling race, another fighter. He's got a nice little beer gut on him.
That's right. It's a perfect swashbuckler, in my opinion.
Yeah, no, he's got the red bandana that
like
ties
a pirate
the whole way back. He's got the low belt.
100% pirate look on this thing. It should have just been a swashbuckler, in my opinion.
Yeah, take the shield out and give him a hook or something, and I think you've got a nice clean pirate there. Yeah. Again, love the multi-use minis. I think that they've really done a good job at making these multi-use. I mean, you can even take your half-elf druid here. You can make him a wizard. You can make the Halfling, a Druid. I mean, swap the classes on half of these and they still work phenomenally. Yeah. I mean, give yourself a Spellblade Warlock on this half-dragon or Dragonborn here. There's just some really good multi-use painting on these where the colors, the design, the weapons, they really open themselves up to being used for more than just the title of the mini.
Oh, yes. Is this real? It is. All right. This is one of the ones I had to get, and I'm very excited that I did. The Young Black Shadow Dragon.
This is funny, because this is actually one of the ones that when I was buying all of my Young Dragons, I almost didn't buy it. But man, it looks so good. They've taken all the spines down the back of this dragon and turned them into almost like black flames, which looks amazing. You can have that be poisonous gas that streams off of this dragon and fills its lair. You can have that be fire that burns anything that does melee damage to it. You can have that be so much. You can take this young dragon and use it as is, or you can add so much to it and just off the look of the mini alone, you can add a bunch of flair that's really cool. The wings themselves almost look kind of flamey. Yep. Again, just awesome mini that it convinced me to buy it. And another one that's single color and just with a dark wash. I will say, I do wish they had done more with this one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. They could have done just a little bit more, but I do like that the transparency on it is not just black. It actually has that green, which gives it that nice toxic look, which just adds to what you were saying. You could do so many different things with something like this. Again, phenomenal sculpt. Super cool looking. I've been very excited to get this one, and I'm glad I finally got it out of this set. They did do this like the 2024 Black Dragon a little bit more, where it has the almost skull-esque on the front, where its skin's been burning away with the much larger horns. Yeah. And they did the almost alien-esque tail with the giant,
I saw the tail as you were rotating it. I like it. It's kind of a blade to it. It's almost like a ceremonial dagger look to the tail. I was just thinking about another great use for something like this is it's got that ghostly look to it. You know, your black dragon fight end too quick, your green dragon fight end too quick. Awesome. Here's the ghost of the dragon. Come back to haunt you today.
Definitely. That's very cool, though. I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, good one to have gotten. Like I said, I almost didn't buy it because it was pretty basic. But again, they've done so much with the molding on these that there's just so much detail. And even with this just being a single color paint, I do wish they'd made a little more solid on some of the body parts of it and let the rest of it be more ethereal. But there's not a whole lot to complain about here in general. It's a good looking mini.
No. Next one we got here is just a Barbarian. Nice blonde female Barbarian. It's very basic. One of the more basic paint jobs on a humanoid miniature in this set, in my opinion. But still, it's hard to dislike having additional humanoid miniatures.
Yeah. And even so, I mean, it's got like a nice, like kind of llama fur, alpaca fur, just like fuzziness to the bracers and the shin
and it
guards.
could even be a commoner.
Yeah,
that's what's nice about it.
As a commoner.
Yeah.
Shoulder pads painting are a little weird, so I would have liked to see some blonde streaks along the right shoulder, maybe something to add if you get this mini home, because it definitely, there's a stark contrast between the hair. Again, not something you're going to notice at a foot away on the table, 2 feet away on the table, but up close, there's some minor details you could add. I will say I agree with this being probably the most basic paint. Again, though, solid job on the eyes, solid job on the eyebrows. That is another different color that kind of stands out amongst the rest of these minis, but it's a Barbarian.
Yep.
Barbarians love to stand out.
Yep. Next one, another repeat from last time. This is just the Goblin Fighter. Really like this Goblin with the armor. I think its weapon is it's a giant cleaver, and with the bone being the handle, very Goblin-esque. I really like the details that they're adding there, where it's basically a leg bone that it has the handle, and then the giant cleaver that's melded onto it. You can't beat cool goblins with cool weapons, in my opinion.
Definitely feels like it comes right out of Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, it would fit right in with your goblin camp in that game. The bone in the hair as the hair tie looks phenomenal. Nice little half chain he's got going on here with the chain skirt and the chain sleeve. Some fun like half pieces of armor you can always add to your game for fun. or even just flavor pieces. Hair looks great. Ears nice and long here on this guy.
Yeah.
And,
no, it's a great
fighter.
looking miniature.
What are you going to do?
Yep. One I did not get last time is the Green Hag.
Yep.
Very excited the fact that she has, I didn't notice it, but she actually has a spell effect in her hand, which is so sick, because I did not notice that before. I'm not sure what she's supposed to be holding, or if it is just supposed to be the spell effect. I think it's just supposed to be the spell effect, but very, very cool.
Yeah. Looks like some sort of
great
flame.
Great looking Green Hag.
Yeah, nice gangly fingers that you come to expect of the hag. Solidly wrinkled neck just fades into the head with almost a balding front and hair the whole way down to the toes on the back. Not a ton you can do when you've got a robe covering everything, but really, really nice detail where they put it. And
she looks creepy.
I can't help but love the flame effect. This one actually kind of wraps down around the backside of her hand and then rises up into her palm as if her whole hand is on fire. Just really gets the imagination flowing when it comes to encounters for those guys. And really hags are one of the quintessential D&D enemies. Just phenomenal to have, even if you don't use it as an enemy. Throw it in as a pseudo ally, someone who's maybe willing to help for a cost. Always a fun character to throw into any campaign.
Yeah, definitely. All right, I think it's the last box here.
Sure is. Let's dive into it.
Another dragon.
Now we're talking. No plastic casing in this one. This one came in a bag, it looks like.
Hopefully it's not one of the repeats. I think it is, yep.
Yeah, copper dragon.
No big deal, though. Still like having them.
Or am I way off? Is this brass? This is copper,
That's the copper, I'm pretty sure.
That's what I thought, too. Yeah. It's like brass is a little more gold.
Copper's got that patina on its wings. That's how you know.
Well, the bronze...
Yeah, but the actual, real-looking copper patina on it.
Yeah, I mean, dragons are going to be dragons. I will say the mold lines on this one are pretty well covered by the paint. You can still see where they're at a little bit, but they really did a much better job covering. I mean, this side you can't really see it at all.
A little bit of a bent wing there. I will say that is the only thing not supposed to be out there.
Yeah, I won't complain about it. Honestly, I kind of like the tip of the wings doing different things. They're not necessarily rigid in their structure, but yeah, that is supposed to be up like that. Really solid detail on these guys. The front legs, you can see a little bit of the mold lines from where they connect, but it's always going to be somewhere.
And I love that patina look that they add on there, that little bit of patina wash that they put there. Just really, it looks more realistic than any previous copper miniature that they've done, and I really enjoy that about them. And again, I think it works so well because of how nice the sculpts are on these, that wash really falls into the cracks and gives it that proper look.
Yeah, again, you can see the mold lines low on the back here. They're really well covered on the inside of the wings.
Yeah.
Looking at it straight from the back, you can see it, but otherwise, just a really well done mini. Again, I'm really excited for all the young dragons. These are phenomenal minis for anyone who has limited space at their table and wants to make sure they're making use of it to make a good encounter without having to break out the big bank to get yourself a large one. Pretty excited about one of these that we just pulled. I'll pop him out next. Once I unpack this guy, but we did manage to get one of our guard drakes.
Nice.
Again, really love the
tail.
Big thick tail on these guys. WizKids, please. I know that they don't have stat blocks for them. Give us some different colored drakes, please. I love my drakes. They're phenomenal. They're great as enemy mounts for chasing combats. They're awesome.
Ally mounts. Especially now that we have Drake Wardens.
Yeah.
It would be really cool to actually be able to have even drakes with wings. I mean, make a smaller drake that has wings on it. And again, just give us our metallics, give us our chromatics, really put the colors out there, because if you're going to come out with classes like a Drake Warden, the characters should be able to pick their drake and have it in their color. Yeah. And we should be able to have pre-painted miniatures for that. So I'd really like for us to see some new colors of the drakes. I completely agree with that.
Even if they don't give you wings, because you can always use the wormling dragons which have wings. The guard drakes, the drakes in general, this is a mini that if they came out with more of these, I would use them a lot more. I personally love these. They're great at any level as added mounts for added challenge. Take your group of half dragons and give them each a drake mini or a drake ride to ride, and suddenly that combat almost doubles in difficulty very quickly.
No, definitely.
Nice
little gargoyle.
Yep, gargoyle. This is probably our one in this set that's kind of not a lot you can do with it, but they did it. I like the teeth sticking out forward on the mouth. The wings look good. Nice little squatting stance for this guy, so you can use him as a statue in your map. Of course, that'll give it away to your players, but hopefully they know their characters don't know it's not a statue, or even more fun, throw it in there, let them think it's a statue, and make it an actual statue.
Make them think that it might be a monster, and then have it just as a statue. That would be great.
Yeah, really terrify them in that way.
Now, very good looking miniature though. Again, great sculpt. I will say I wish the color was a little bit more stone-esque compared to a clay in a way, but other than that, I really enjoy that.
Yeah, definitely a clay-looking mini, but again, this is something you can throw into, an old temple, throw it into a ziggurat in the desert, especially...
Desert would definitely work better for that color.
Take your blue dragon, throw a couple of blue drakes in it, and toss a gargoyle in there, and you've got yourself a nice little dungeon working. We'll throw him over there with the ones that are single base color, and wouldn't be... Return of the Dragons without another fighter. That said, I will say they didn't name this a fighter. This is our Sun Elf Guard, but kind of fills the same role. Never can have enough guards. I will say the Sun Elf is one that feels probably the least usable amongst the generic humanoid minis. Very much Sun Elf looking. The face on this one is a little awkward, but I think that's the way the helmet kind of comes over, and it's got a nose guard on it. The spear is very bent.
But at least, in my opinion, at least they put it in both hands to where it can only get so bent, which I really like about that.
Yeah, with a long one like this. Honestly, the bend is between the hands, which is what's interesting, because outside of that, the weapon's really straight. The coloration on this guy is great. I think he fills in with some of the red guys, but he's got a golden plate on him. Possibly her. Can't really tell, but could be either. There's long hair on it, and it... really could fill either gender if you wanted it to. And the hands bled over a little onto the spear haft, but...
Yeah, that will happen, but...
Probably one of my least favorites from this set up there with the Barbarian, but a really good pull. I mean, take 4 young dragons and a drake and a couple of giants.
And I think I like the Barbarian again, just instead of using it as a Barbarian, use it as a commoner.
I
think that's why I like it so much, is because it's a very nice, just basic commoner that you can use. So I really enjoy that. I think, this set, in my opinion, is... I wish we would have gotten a little bit more variant from the previous one we opened to this one, but I really do enjoy the fact we got the hag this time, we got the gargoyle, we got one of the very rares, and we ended up with 2 new dragons, so I can't complain that much. Very excited about this set, and...
Yeah, and 2 of the better dragons to have gotten out of it. The blue and the Black Shadow just really came out nice. I have the silver and the red, and those are also phenomenal minis to have.
I think last time I did get the silver. I'll have to double check that, but either way, overall, in my opinion, this is one of the nicest sets that they've come out with for sculpt, paint, and variety in a while. I really enjoy this set. If you guys enjoyed this as much as we did, please do like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Cheers.